What can I say? I feel like I'm on fire today. Hashtag change the channel. Yeah, I want to put my 2 cents on this one too. The whole reason why I cannot speak for Oxentius. Oxentius has his own reasons, but the whole reason I am putting my role-playing games online, and the whole reason I'm here right now doing vlogs and whatnot, is because of people like Doug Walker. Is because of Channel Awesome, or that guy with the glasses as it used to be known as. I am a super fan. I have been a fan of these people since day one, or almost day one. I've been a fan for about 10 years. Way back, I was working at Sears, and some guy I was getting back into retro games and things like that. Or I was like talking about like old school video games, like, you know, like I hadn't played like Ninja Turtles for the NES in the longest time, and I was talking to some guy about it, and he's like, dude, have you been on YouTube? Have you seen like the Angry Video Game Nerd? You check that guy out, man. He's pretty cool. So I checked out the Angry Video Game Nerd, and I fell in love. I loved his videos. The nostalgia for old school games hit me, and I became a big fan of his work, and became a big fan of Screw Attack. And then the the feud happened. The feud between the Angry Video Game Nerd and the Nostalgia Critic. I'm like, who is this Nostalgia Critic person? Who is this? Who is this person? I watched the feud. Thought Doug Walker was funny. Started checking out his stuff. Started checking out his website. Liked Benzai. Liked Suede. Really liked Spoonie. Really liked, just loved Spoonie. Spoonie was so cool back in the day, before he went fucking crazy. Spoonie was like, I remember growing up playing Final Fantasy VIII and being like, this game is shit. This game is garbage. And it's like, and all my friends were like, no, it's not. No, it's good. You suck. It was like, no. And it was like, and again, I was not a big Final Fantasy person prior to. Final Fantasy VII is my first real Final Fantasy. I played like Final Fantasy 1 like at a friend's house when I was like 5 or something like that, and didn't really pay much attention to it. Final Fantasy VII made me a Final Fantasy fan. That's why I'm playing Cloud in Ox's game. That's why. That's why that's happening. Because I'm a huge, like, Final Fantasy VII is seriously one of my favorite video games of all time. I don't know if it's my absolute favorite, but it's up there. It's fucking up there. It's one of my favorites of the series. It's one of my favorite video games of all time. I absolutely adore it. And I, you know, I was expecting, you know, after how good 7 was, that, oh man, 8's gonna be just as good. Man, and I was stupid too. I was all like, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens to Cloud and everybody at the events of, I can't wait to see what happens in Final Fantasy 8 and see what happens in next. And they're like, stupid, that's not how Final Fantasy works. It's gonna be a completely different character. It's gonna be a guy named Squall. By the way, what kind of a name is Squall? I've been saying that for freaking how long was that? It's a long time ago. I'm an old fucker. That was like 20 years ago. It was like, for 20 years, I've been like, what the fuck is a Squall? It doesn't sound like a hero. And I played 8, and I gave it my fair shot, and I'm like, but the story was just retarded and dumb, and like, no. And it made no freaking sense. And it was like, 7 was so good. How did you fuck this up? And it was like, you know, but everybody, my friends, was, no, it's good. It's good, you're dumb. You're stupid. Nah. Spoonie was the first dude to come out and review and talk about Final Fantasy VIII in a way that made me feel not like a crazy person. It made me feel like, oh my god, someone else hated this game too. Someone else thought this game was dumb. And I fucking loved Spoonie. I loved Spoonie. I loved all his old videos. And till to this day, it's like, in spite of everything, it's still like, he's like a god amongst nerds to me. He's a huge inspiration for me. It's this kind of unscripted. You want a wrestle episode? Let's talk wrestling. Like, as I'll fucking do it. I'll fucking go right now. But yeah, huge inspiration to me. And I love the website. I checked it out, and I loved their content. And I became a regular of Channel Awesome, and I kept on watching them. To me, it was so cool seeing people outside the Hollywood system, you know, get a little bit of notoriety and you know, get, like, you know, go out there and put their works out, and, you know, on YouTube, Blip, whatever it was, going out and just like some bum with a camera, or some bum with a camera, a webcam on his fucking laptop, like, I don't know, someone who's doing a video right now, going out there and making content and like not just like and talking about stuff and reviewing stuff like that we've grown up with, like for my generation, old movies, old video games, kind of bringing all the stuff back, and at the same time making new content, making new stories and the skits. I liked the skits at first. It was like because they were telling their own stories, they were creating their own characters. I fell head over heels with that guy with the glasses and Channel Awesome. And you know what? I'm still here. I'm still online, seeing what people. Yeah, I don't have cable. I don't watch TV no more. I don't even have Netflix. I go to the internet. And I go to the internet or I get stuff on DVD. I have my ways of watching stuff, but I mean, I'm still. The internet has now become my new. It's replaced the TV for me. It's my new way of watching things and entertaining myself. So I mean, I'm still here, and the landscape has changed. There are new channels out there that do things better. Like you got Honest Trailers and like Cinema Sins and whatnot. And in terms of a review show, I think Red Letter Media is the shit. They've got probably the best formula and are probably the most interesting. But it's like, yeah, the landscape of YouTube has changed a great deal. But they were really cool. I really liked their content, and they seemed like really great people. And they were an inspiration to me. And like Doug and Rob in particular, they came down here to Florida a couple times. And 3 years in a row, they attended ShadowCon. And those 3 years, I saw them and met them. And like Doug and Rob in particular were really cool to me. I gave them a ton of shit for their Stephen King Zit review, because I love Stephen King Zit. And the third year they were there, like a couple months prior, I'd actually finally finished the novel. Like all the way, I've been like reading it. Like I think my first exposure to it was the miniseries. But I finally sat down and read all 999 pages of that fucking beast. And I was doing security work at the time, and I was watching like a site, and just like through the evening, when I was done like walking for like an hour, I'd sit back and I'd read a little bit of Stephen King's It, and I finished one morning the whole thing. And I went up to them and I told them that, like, you guys are wrong. This movie and book is great. You guys are gay and you're wrong. And Rob, like, and I made him laugh. And Rob like signed like on my Stephen King Zit book, no, you're gay. And Doug wrote spiders. And it was cool. And they seem like really cool. They seem like really cool people. And I still think deep down they are good people. They were a huge inspiration to me, and seeing how they've shaped the internet and the impact they've had has been so tremendous. But the fact of the matter is that a long time ago, about 5 years ago or so, we started noticing problems. And for my money, things started kind of going down the hill with Spoonie. Spoonie was the first crack. Spoonie was the guy that where things started to go wrong. It was like but even then, like, even at their best, at their height, prior to all of the bullshit that's come out recently, that guy with the glasses was weird to me. Angry reviewing was weird to me, because I'm a nerd. I'm a fan of a lot of things. I'm a fan of science fiction, comic books, video games, anime, cartoons, all different types of speculative fiction, movies, TV shows, music, you name it. History, whatever. I'm a fan of a lot of things. Role-playing, duh. I'm a fan of a lot of things. The internet reviewing phenomenon was the first thing I ever nerded out on and became a fan of that actively hated on everything else I liked. And I think it kind of started with, like, Doug and Spoonie, where I started getting dissatisfied with their shtick, because it was like, I remember, like, they're like when Doug and Lindsay started like coining like guilty pleasures as a catchphrase. That bothered me. It bothered me because it was like, no, it's like, if you like something, you fucking like it. It's not a guilty pleasure. It was like they were changing the standard by which all of us who are the sheep that follow and worship the glory that is Doug. They were changing the standard for what is good and what is bad on a universal level. And I mean, Doug made many videos in between this where he basically stated, look, I mean, you have a right to your own opinion, and what matters is how you express that opinion, how eloquent you are, which I agree with. But still, it was like it started becoming kind of an echo chamber where you started noticing more people that were coming onto the site were just trying to be like Doug, and we're just trying to emulate what he was doing, and we're starting to have like this group think of what's a good movie, what's a bad movie. When at the same time it was, it was getting, especially the whole angry reviewing thing, the whole caustic critic thing, was like people getting really venomous about this game sucks. This game, yeah, fuck you. The original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Nintendo game is a great game. It's just hard. That doesn't mean it's bad. You know, I mean, there's other things that they would criticize or hate on where it's like, okay, no, someone else will like that. Someone else will get to that. I think one of the things they hated on was like the Lost World Jurassic Park. I love the Lost World Jurassic Park. It's not perfect, but I love that movie. It's not as good as the book. I'm one of those assholes. No, well, the book was better than the movie. I'm one of those fuckers. I am one of those cocksuckers. I will admit that right there and then. The book was much better than the movie. Yeah, but I mean, there's still, as a movie, it's not bad. It's a fun little dinosaur adventure. What's wrong with it? And it was just, it became, and I think other things I noticed was like the political agendas going on. My whole issue with third wave feminism, I think really before even Anita Sarkeesian was a blip in anyone's radar, there was Lindsay Ellis and Louis Lovon. Louis Lovon also I had an experience with that was positive. My buddy Steven went to Power Morphicon and actually put me on the phone with him, and that was really cool. And again, Louis was really nice to me too. He was really cool. But I always found it weird that Louis would like one of his earliest videos, he would announce, "Oh, just so you know, I'm a feminist." And at the time, I know what we can say now about feminism now, you know, where, you know, a lot of people like me are fucking fed up with it. And as I pointed out a couple videos ago, it's like I'm sick of either side of the spectrum. But to me, like, I always considered myself a feminist. But I never felt the need to tell anybody I was a feminist, because to me, you know, I was raised very well by my mother and father, and, you know, I loved my mother and my grandmother and had a lot of respect for them, and my parents and my grandmother taught me, you treat people with respect. You treat everyone with respect. You treat women with respect. You treat your elders with respect. You treat everyone with respect. That's just a given, you know? And it doesn't matter who they are. You be respectful. And so I always considered myself a feminist because I figured, well, if feminism is treating women equally to men, well, then I'm a feminist. But at the same time, it was like, you know, to me, it's not a matter, that's just being a good person. So why should I have to announce to everybody that, oh, by the way, I'm a feminist? And Louis did. And I found that very strange. Louis came out and said, oh, just so you know, I'm a feminist. So I'm going to hate on this comic book that has cheesecake in it for forever. Which is very funny in hindsight. I thought that was weird. Lindsay with her Smurfette Principle episode, talking about how, you know, started screaming about how, like, the Alvin and the Chipmunks in the movie is sexist and racist. It was just, like, really just kind of overreacting to things that, especially from a different era. And even for that era, wasn't that bad. You know, I mean, like, I'm a huge H.P. Lovecraft fan. I'm a huge fan of Cthulhu and all that. Look, Lovecraft was a racist. He was. He just was. And it was like, but he was also a guy from the 30s. Now, for a guy from the 30s, oh, he was a racist. But, and it's unfortunate he actually, like, got better later in life. He, like, I think, when the Holocaust happened and he saw, like, especially because he said some shitty things about Jews, when you know, footage from the Holocaust started coming back of what was happening to the Jews in Nazi Germany, he really regretted a lot of the horrible things he'd said. And even people like Robert E. Howard, who made the Conan novels, who was a friend of his, actually called him out on his racism. He actually, Robert E. Howard actually became less racist because he couldn't get over how racist Lovecraft was. I feel like if Lovecraft hadn't died of cancer and had gotten to live a little while longer, he probably would have become much more progressive. Maybe not fully, but he probably would have always been more, you know, he probably would have still had some kind of old-fashioned viewpoints. But he would have he would have shown a bit of a change. Anyway, but that's the thing. He was a racist. But does that mean he's a bad person? No, I don't think it does. He's never actually hurt anybody. He was kind of a stick 'em up, kind of sheltered, and had some old-fashioned viewpoints. At the end of the day, he's one of the greatest science fiction horror writers ever. And he should be read and enjoyed. And so, yeah, like the way Lindsay was kind of screaming about these things, about how, oh, this is bad, this is racist, you should look down on this, ooh, why is there always got to be a female version of a male hero? Like, it always struck me of like how she just kept complaining about these things, but not actually doing anything about, well, if you have a problem with it, why don't you write your own movie? Why don't you write your own book where you can make your protagonist whoever you want and just make your call there? Like Linkara, I remember, yeah, and like Linkara, one of his earliest videos, he makes fun of sultry teenage super foxes, which I agree is a bad comic, and one of his better reviews. But right early on, he's like, oh, Gary Brodsky scun, John Norman levels of scun, and I'm like, who's John Norman? And it was just like, it really kind of struck me out of nowhere. He's just screaming about some person I've never fucking heard of. And just, like, this person's scum, just so you know. I looked up John Norman. I believe it's either John Norman or Josh Norman. It's the guy who wrote the Gorn novels. He wrote some really cool sci-fi fantasy books that are also works of erotica. That are like male power fantasies, where a guy goes to an alien world and becomes like a Conan-like figure. Kind of like Den in Heavy Metal. And becomes, and he winds up fighting monsters and banging hot chicks in chainmail bikinis. That's my fantasy. That's why I'm more of a Conan. I like that. It was like, yeah, come a badass sword fighter, kill a bunch of monsters, bang the chick in the chainmail bikini. That's hot to me. I like that. That's metal. That's great. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's like, and yeah, there's some kind of weird kiki stuff in there, and he kind of has some weird views on sexuality. He's more of like, I think he's like a dominant, and he feels like women should be subservient, which, no, I don't agree with. I think that works for him. Obviously, it works for him and his wife. That's their business. Why do we have to judge him and make him feel bad about his sexuality? Especially if we're all about making people feel good about their sexuality, whatever they are. Whether, gay, straight, trans, whatever. Why do you gotta make me feel bad for having an erection? What's wrong with my sexuality? It was this weird reversal, this weird kind of, this attitude that we're seeing manifest nowadays. And so, like, when it got to the point where Lindsay started hanging out with Anita Sarkeesian and got her picture taken with her, it's like, all right, well, she's chosen her path. And it's not a nice one, not one I'm terribly like seeing. But there was all this weird stuff, and it was just like, and then there was Spoonie, how like Spoonie's character wasn't really a character. It was who he really was. He was really this angry nerd who hated Transformers Revenge of the Fallen so much, he could not drive home. Okay, it's a bad movie, dude. You got problems if you get so upset about a movie that you can't drive home. I really feel for Miles. Miles is a cop, and he has a real job, and I feel for you. It became so much more of an asshole as time going on. He started banning people on his forums. He started really, I started getting dissatisfied with the whole angry reviewing shtick. And at the same time, I was starting to notice like problems. I was starting to notice like people falling apart, and primarily with Spoonie. It was Spoonie's breakdown was like the biggest sign that there's trouble in paradise. Excuse me. It was just, it was that he had that meltdown, and he broke up with Scarlett, and then he hit the skids. He started crying to Linkara and Jew Wario on a Skype call about where he was trying to review the Twilight movies, and we kind of saw him spiral out of control. And then the rape joke happened. The rape joke with Jesu Otaku and the whole fallout with Lupa and just him melting down on Twitter and him getting fired. And it was at that point where he became insufferable and impossible to watch as far as I'm concerned. And it really made me kind of scrutinize the website a little bit more. And I went back. And I remember there was something weird that happened years ago, shortly after the Epic Brawl. And that was their first firing. Their first firing, which of course was Dan Rizzo, that Aussie guy. I love that Aussie guy. I thought he had some really cool video game reviews. He seemed like a cool dude. But yeah, he was just suddenly let go from the website. No explanation. Oh, he did something that really screwed up everybody on the website, so he's got to go. And he's not allowed to talk about it. And we're not going to talk about it. And it was just like, it was just really, really strange. Like, what did he do? What did he do? Did he kill somebody? What did he do that warrants him getting kicked off from the site? And we haven't heard from him since then. Well, actually, that's not true. We've heard in certain sources, he's whispered here and there to people like Mr. Medicare, people like a Salieri. He's been around and giving his little 2 cents about the whole thing. But he's never really come out and fully made a video. And I just, think of this vlog, hey, Rizzo, if you at all still have a YouTube channel at all, hey, now's the time, bro. Come on out. I would love to see you do a video like this where you just tell us everything that piece of shit Michaud did. Everything. I think it's time. I really want to hear from you, bro. It was that. I went back to that and was like, what was up with that? And it was like, as you started watching and paying attention to the website, I just kind of noticed that a lot of that negativity wasn't just there in Spoonie, it was in the website. It was in the website. I remember way before it became public knowledge that Michaud was a steaming pile of shit. I made up my mind that Michaud was a steaming pile of shit because I remember looking at the forums and there was one person who was kind of echoing the sentiment that I had, that it was like he didn't like the negativity, that was like, I really like the Nostalgia Critic, but all this reviewing and basically kind of trash talking these things, I feel like we're just having this kind of negative attitude and we're just kind of hating on stuff and it feels like it's just bringing a negativity to it. Mike Michaud responded to that guy and he basically said, hey, fuck you, you piece of shit. How dare you fucking criticize and insult the Nostalgia? You're just a piece of shit troll. Fuck you. He just really came down on this guy out of nowhere. And I'm like... And I looked at it and I'm like... Oh. That's the kind of man you are, Mike Michaud. You're a fucking asshole. And I've hated Michaud ever since then. And I've been saying for the longest time, Mike Michaud needs to go. And that's what's interesting that's with this whole hashtag change the channel thing. It's like, the fact of the matter is that for those of us who've been watching, a lot of the stuff that's in that Google document, a lot of it is old fucking news. We've been watching this, like, people like a Salieri was talking, Salieri, my brother, I want you to, I want you to review this video, this long rambly video, sir. Listen, Asa was calling this shit out years ago before it was cool. He was calling out the angry video game nerd, and he got flagged for it. He got false flagged for it. Essentially, it's one of the things that led to, like, I think Mike Matei flagged his channel as the reason he lost his original A Salieri channel. Now he's on the Salieri 2. He was calling this shit out years before. All the shady Kickstarter shit that James Rolfe did, all the shady stuff that Nostalgia Critic has done, he's been criticizing all of this. All this. He got into a huge spat with Lupa during Suburban Nights with the whole, when he leaked the information from Policy Hack about Lisa passing out. He got banned from the forums. He was the guy who was fighting this battle, who was screaming about that, hey, there's something rotten in the state of Channel Awesome. There's something rotten in the state of Kickassia before it was cool, before it was acceptable, when they were the cool kids. And you couldn't say anything about it. And when I was on the forums talking about Spoonie on his website, when I was talking about how I'm not cool with, man, he's having a meltdown, I got tons of shit from fucking White Knights. All these fucking White Knights came out of the woodwork. You don't dare talk about Nostalgia Critic. Don't you dare talk about Spoonie. Hey, they're just fucking critics. And if they can criticize the movie, then why can't people criticize them? And so we've known there were problems. Now, the Google Doc also brought more information to the table that I didn't know about. Like, I had no idea there was sexual misconduct going on. Oh, shit. I had no idea the extent or the level of how bad, like, I had no idea the extent and level of how bad, like, Holly Christine Brown's firing was. I didn't know that. And there are other things, like, which are kind of less important, but I just kind of found out because of the whole hashtag channel thing. They're like, Jessica Otago's a man now. And it's like, oh! I lost track of him for a while, and it's like, you have facial hair. Okay. What a difference 10 years makes. Anyway, but I have nothing mean to say about that. But it was surprising, to say the least. It was like, oh, okay. But yeah, we've been kind of, people like me, although I wasn't making videos about it. People like Ace Salieri, a lot of his circle of friends, people like Razor Fist, we've been screaming about this for a long time. A long fucking time, that this site is fucked up and they don't treat their people right. People like Lord Cat have been making noise for a long time. People like Allison have been making noise for a long fucking time. And it is so beautiful. So refreshing to see Karma in action. I've got to tell you. As of this recording, I believe they're down to 3 contributors, which is, of course, the Nostalgia Critic, which we all thought quit. But then, like, a couple, yesterday I noticed, nope, he made a Nostalgia Critic episode. Doug's is as oblivious as ever. The Cinema Snob, who is, I think, also just like, hashtag free Brad. And Guru Larry, who has announced that he has won the Channel Awesome Hunger Games. Thank you for your patronage. Good job. There can be only one, Larry. There can be only one. But it's, yeah, a lot of this, we've been screaming about this for the longest time. And I remember, like, the other thing was when Spoonie was melting down, then he got into it with Lupa. Then Lord Cat talked about why he left. And Lord Cat, for my money, has one of the best sources for the shit that's gone down about this. Check out any of his super chats about any of the bullshit that goes on. Lord Cat is just like, he went on, he's doing his own thing, he's continued to do his own thing, but he's been such a great source of information for this stuff. And he's one of the guys that, like, okay, I really did stop watching these people like 5 years ago. It reached a point where I felt like I can no longer support these people. I can't watch them anymore. And it was even the type of thing where you try to come back, like, every now and then, and I can't. It was like, by then, other things had happened. The infamous firing of Lupa for being late to a Skype call for 15 minutes, and the horrible treatment she went through. The shit that Phalis went through, where, like, they were claiming that, he was half-assing on the special effects for To Boldly Flee, and try to get Welshie to talk about it. All these mass exodus, all this stuff, we've been watching this for years. And it's, there's been a steady pattern of shitty behavior by these people for the longest time. And it's finally refreshing to see people call them out on it, and to see this huge response from YouTube of people genuinely morally outraged, and people like Asa Vindicated, because he's been screaming about it forever, and yeah. So, and there's other people too. The other people I discovered recently during all this was Mr. Medicare, who actually did his Channel Awesome retrospective like shortly before the document even came out. Expanded Media did a bunch of interviews with people. There's a lot of information that's come out that's very interesting. And as for the Google document itself, again, there's information that's brand new. And but I have to say, it's like, I am so happy that it did come out and people responded and were genuinely outraged and are finally kind of backing up what people like me and people like Asa and Razorfist have been saying for the longest fucking time. That this company screwed up and it's bullshit and these people are assholes and they need to be called out on it. It's just so refreshing to see that happen. It's so refreshing to see the people like just morally just call no. And to support the people that were abused there. And I do agree that they were abused. Now, again, I'm a big fan of Ace Salieri. I've got my first videos on this channel are just re-uploads of stuff that got taken down by Cloud Ocelot. And Razor Fist 2, and that 5 minutes that they were arguing with each other. Actually, that wasn't even like, okay, Razor Fist actually, that was on his channel, he just took that down. And he just chose to put that down, and I wanted to re-upload it, whatever. The point is, it's like, I know he's going to disagree with this, but he has reason to really hate a lot of these people. I'm in kind of a different boat, because I really was a fan. I was a fan of a lot of these people. I was a fan of Lupa. I was a fan of Lupa before I even knew who Eric Gady was, before I even knew who Asa was. And I agree what she did to him was shitty, but at the same time, I feel what was done to her was shitty. I'm happy these people are speaking up now. I'm happy Kaylin's speaking up. I'm happy Lewis is speaking up. I'm even happy Lindsay is speaking up. And I think Lindsay's complaints, at least towards the end in her end of the document, I think are the most ridiculous. The whole fact, I left because they wouldn't make a stand against Gamergate. Okay, look, as of all the shitty things that Mike Machad, Doug, and Rob Walker have done, they do not have to make any stance whatsoever on Gamergate. It is perfectly acceptable for them to not make a stand or make some other kind of stand, or more sensibly, just not make a stand at all. They do not have to conform to your political agenda, Lindsay. I'm sorry, especially since your agenda is fucking crazy, and you're worrying me right now, seeing as how you're like freaking getting hogtied by the cops and looking like Brianna Wu, crazy drunk. It's like, I pray for you. I pray for you, sister. I was a fan of yours too. I love your older videos, but damn, girl, just God bless. But it's and that's the thing. It's like, you know, for all we know, a lot of these people just are scumbags, and they're not worth our sympathy. But I try to look for the best in people. I always like to joke that basically, like, okay, my best friend Josh is Batman. I'm Superman. I'm the naive asshole that tries to see the best in everybody, and I do. And I still want to believe that Doug Walker and Rob Walker are those nice guys I met at conventions that were really nice to me and inspired me. But I'm disappointed with their behavior. I genuinely am, and I'm disappointed with. I've been disappointed. I've been disappointed with everything I've heard about Rob, about how shitty he can be to people that work for him. How you know he can be like essentially Mike's little puppet who say just as shitty things as Mike does. I'm disappointed in Doug for being oblivious, for genuinely genuinely being complacently like, you know, just not acknowledging what's going on, by not saying anything, by not taking a stand on it, by essentially being a coward. I'm sorry, Doug. I love you. I care about you, but you're a coward, man. You should say something about this. You should make a stand against this. And at the end of the day, I'm sorry. And I've known, this is another thing I've known about for the longest time, which is that the Nostalgia Critic character is not his. It's Mike Machad's. And I'm sorry, the worst thing you guys did when you founded this company was hand the rights to your character over to this other person you didn't know that well. Mike Machad, everything I've heard about him, everything that's been reinforced is like, I find it interesting that people, after everything that's come out, still have nice things to say about Jew Wario. Everything that's come out, there are people that have nice things to say about Mike Ellis. Okay, so TJ did a recent video about the whole Channel Awesome thing where he doesn't acknowledge Mike Ellis's name, the person that supported him. I assure you, I've seen this TJ does life channel. We talked about it before. It was Mike Ellis. Yeah, TJ had nice things to say about Mike Ellis, and that's not judging TJ. No one knew, other than a select few, of what a monster Mike Ellis was. People still have nice things to say about him. No one has anything nice to say about Mike Machad. And they shouldn't. What does he do? He sits on his ass and plays Call of Duty and Titanfall all day long. That's all he fucking does. He's a piece of shit who's a coward who will, you know, either who will ambush women in a Skype call or in person and scream at them and make them cry. But if you're in Linkara and you call him out and say, I'm disappointed in you, he's like, okay. He won't confront you. He's a coward. He's a pussy. He's stupid. He's a con man. Pop Quiz Hot Shots was his idea. Bar Fiesta was his idea. And they're part of the reason he has been a tumor that has been growing this channel for the longest time, and at the end of the day, he's what's killing it. He's what's killing it. And hashtag change the channel is just a last-minute operation to try to cure things. And unfortunately, it appears to be too late. It's terminal. It's terminal. And that's the fact of the matter, is he's a steaming pile of shit. And in spite of everything hurtful that's come out, everything upsetting that's come out, I'm so happy it's coming out. I feel like a bad person. I feel like Khan from Star Trek finally getting revenge and just leaving you on that planet buried alive. I'm a Farscape fan. For those of you who don't know what Farscape is, go check it out. Farscape is awesome. But for those of you who do, this like the five of you that know this joke, I feel like Scorpius at the end of the Peacekeeper Wars. I feel like I'm standing there on Moya where with Neelan Graza and Stalik and looking awkward and nervous and like they're about to die, forced to sign a peace treaty with each other, with the neutral alien, like making sure everything goes. I'm just sitting there like 5 feet behind, smiling. I got my wormhole weapon. I got my revenge against the Scarens. Thank you, John. Hope you come out of that coma. I feel like I don't care. I don't care. I feel like I'm vindicated. I feel like this wrong that I've seen for the longest time, I feel like these people are finally paying for it, as they should. In spite of everything horrible that's come out of this. Again, I had no idea Holly wasn't allowed to work for 3 years after this. That's some real shit. I had no idea about what happened to Dr. Gonzo. I had no idea it was like, he was told by Mashad that, we'll hire someone popular, not you, in order to cover talk about Justin's death. And I sure as hell didn't know about the groomer, Mike Ellis, calling Sean Faust my sexual cupcake. And I definitely didn't know about Jew Wario. And now I want to talk about Jew Wario, which I think is the saddest thing to come out of this. I think the most heartbreaking thing. But before I back up a little bit, again, it's like all this has come out like in the matter of a couple of weeks, and like it's destroyed the website. And it's like, honestly, it had to happen. It had to happen. I would make it kill the past. I would make it let go of the past, kill it if you have to joke. But I'm not going to give the Last Jedi credit on anything, so I'm not going to do that. But maybe again, since I'm the Stephen King's it asshole, maybe this is kind of like what happened to Derry, Maine in the novel. Is that once the spider was killed, the entire town of Derry collapsed, and I think it's bound to happen, and it should happen. What's been going on with this website, in spite of how much I love a lot of these people, what they were doing was wrong, and they need to be called out for it. And now Justin. So the sad thing about this is that it's not like he's around to defend himself. It's not like he's around to refute anything or go to court of it. But the fact of the matter is that when I heard, I've been following this again. This and like how much The Last Jedi sucks, and like diversity in comics has been my YouTube experience for a while now. But I first found out that like about Justin because Little Miss Gamer posted out of nowhere. She has the Super Princess Tea Party show now. A side note, but like it came out of nowhere, and it's like I just noticed I haven't seen you in the longest time. But her video talked up, and she started talking about Jew Wario, and that's how I found out. And the thing is, it's like, what's weird for me is that it's like, I've been very critical of like a lot of the hashtag Me Too stuff about like all these rampant accusations that have been happening in Hollywood lately of people, celebrities, and things like that. Like in particular, I'm very critical of the accusations against Jeffrey Tambor. The more recent one I heard about in like December, like Melanie Martinez got accused of rape, and it's like, really, 98-pound Melanie Martinez. I don't think Melanie Martinez could rape anybody. It's like, I guess it's not impossible, and a lot of this stuff is just accusations without taking anybody to court. A lot of it seems bullshit. The problem is when I heard about it being Jew Wario, I realized not even really taking account things that like Little Miss Gamer said or other people said, or even the fact of people did internet detective work because that shitty Second Apology channel Austin did, that indeed it was Jew Wario. I realized, given some of the things I know, that it was true, or that it's probable that it's true, because of two things I'd seen prior. One is Lord Cat. Lord Cat, in one of his many Drop Dead Cynicals, when he talks about Channel Awesome, one of the ones he brought up is it was during the Gamergate situation, where Todd in the Shadows fucking said, like, I knew Justin Carmichael. Justin Carmichael wouldn't support Gamergate, when he made an idiot of himself doing that shit. Lord Cat called him out for it. Jason called him out for it. And one thing Jason said was, well, listen, Justin Carmichael was my friend. I love Justin Carmichael. But he had a lot of problems. He was really fucked up. He was really messed up. There was that. The other thing was a video I think most people have probably forgotten, But not me. I'm a super fan. In fact, I got it backed up somewhere. That's the thing. A lot of these videos with Channel Awesome people, I got backups upon backups upon backups. It's like, because I started doing that because they were getting taken off of YouTube and things like that. So I started backing up, downloading videos people would make, just so it would be there for posterity. And again, naturally, I like role-playing games. Iron Liz covered role-playing games. I watched her stuff. I remember her as Such a Card show. And there was one she did at MagFest, right around the time Spoonie lost his goddamn mind, where it was her, Scarlett, Spoonie's girlfriend at the time, and Justin playing a game of Xenophile. A game of strip Xenophile. Yeah. They were in a hotel room together. Xenophile apparently is a erotic science fiction card game of some kind, with some really good artwork on it that Justin had been aware of. And so here they are. For those of you familiar with Such a Card, what she would do is she would basically post the camera at like a table, or the bed in this case, and just focus on the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic the Gathering, or the board game her and Linkara were doing at the time. And it would just focus on that. And they're playing this card game. But they're doing a strip version of the game, and we cannot see them get naked, but they're playing this game and taking their clothes off. And Lewis is nowhere to be seen. Noah is nowhere to be seen, and Justin's wife is nowhere to be seen. I always thought that was a little weird. And what that said to me was that Justin may be a really nice guy, maybe very friendly, but he's got a kinky side. He's got a really kinky side. So when all this stuff started coming out, it's like, it makes sense. It's unfortunate. And it's like the type of thing where, again, what I said earlier is that I always want to see the best in people. I've seen people like just completely distraught. Like Mika Curtis is just at, beside himself. He's thinking he should shut down his channel and never come back. I don't think he should, bro. I think what Little Miss Gamer said was, I think that rang true. And that it's like you should not feel ashamed for liking his videos. You should not feel ashamed for loving Justin. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't shame for saying that he was a friend of yours. And maybe he's not a person worthy of our concern. Maybe he's not a person worthy of any of our affection. I think it's definitely, I definitely want to echo what they've said before, is that we should be concerned for their victims. We should be concerned for Justin's victims, really, first and foremost. And I agree. But it's okay. Don't feel ashamed for loving somebody. Don't feel ashamed for calling someone your friend. And it's like, in spite of all this, I don't know, maybe the best thing Justin did was kill himself. Maybe, one less predator. But at the end of the day, it's like, I hear what everybody else has said, and what people echo is like, what Iron Liz echoed is like, I still miss Justin. I miss Justin. I love his videos. I like to think that on some level, that's not just a facade. And for all I know, if I want to be cynical, maybe it was. Maybe it was just an aura he put out of being this really cool, awesome guy. Maybe that's all it was. Maybe it was all just bullshit. I'd like to think that there's some part of who that person was a good person. And that same person who made me laugh, who did those Mario monologues, who did that review with Lord Cat about Holy Diver, like a couple weeks before Ronnie James Dio passed away. I like to think that basically there was a good person in there. He was just fucked up, and that doesn't diminish anything that he did. It doesn't diminish how horrible it was. It doesn't diminish how monstrous that is. It doesn't diminish the fact that if it had been my sister that he'd done that to, I probably would have killed him. It doesn't, or someone I cared about, it was like, yeah, you don't, yeah. It doesn't diminish how wrong that was, but I still care about him and miss him. And though I pray for his victims first, I do pray for him. I do hope wherever he is that God has mercy on his soul. And as a Catholic, maybe he's in purgatory. Maybe he just needs some time there to straighten out the fucked up person that he was. So it's all very sad, and there's not much we can do about it. And he's dead. There's nothing really to say about it. But if I can feel sympathy for him, maybe I can still. I don't hate these people. I don't hate Doug or Rob. I do kind of. I'll admit, and again, this is the funny thing to me. I do hate Mashad. Mashad can eat a dick. I don't get it. I don't get it. I am, like, sore, mournful, and sad that a rapist died. I feel affection for a rapist, and Mike Mashad is such a piece of shit. No one has anything nice to say about him, including me. Mike Mashad, you can still eat a bunch of dicks. You know, at least, say what you will about G Warrior, at least he was talented. You're not talented. Not as a businessman, not as a creator. Mike Ellis, you can fuck off too. You know, God. It's a shame. But I feel like this had to happen. This was karma, and it was long overdue. It was long overdue. But even everybody that's wrong in this thing, everybody that's like, or even people that are like in the document that have kind of a shady history, like Lewis. I think, like, for example, one thing that was interesting, and I don't want, again, I have a tremendous amount of respect for Iron Liz. I really like her a lot. But I gotta say, and again, this made me echo back to how I reacted about Jesse Otaku. I was also surprised that Luke Mockery also became trans. By the way, I saw the video, like the interview with him with like Colin, like him and his father, Colin Mockery, of Whose Line Is It Anyway? They appeared on a Canadian show, and again, I was kind of surprised. I heard in like Liz's interview that basically he'd come out as trans, and he's a woman now. And again, for me, it was like him and like Jesse Otaku was just kind of surprised. It's just like, really, that was my kind of reaction. Like J.O.'s a dude now, and I'm like seeing videos of like, yeah, J.O.'s a dude now, facial hair and everything. It's like it's got a penis. Really, I'm just surprised. I'm like kind of surprised, and I was surprised. I was definitely surprised with Luke, because I never thought, like, Luke never gave me the impression that was what he was going through. But I will say this: it's like I saw that interview, and seeing the two of them together, seeing like Luke Mockery and Colin Mockery together, seeing Colin Mockery support his child, and it's like, this is my child. She is the same person she was before, and I want her to be happy, and that's all that matters to me. I started tearing up over that. I thought that was the sweetest thing ever. And it's like, and again, I think doesn't go by Luke anymore. Goes by, yeah, okay. Just Jo doesn't go by Hope anymore. He goes by Jacob. And Luke doesn't go by Luke anymore. Goes by Kinley. Kinley, Colin, God bless you. I really, you guys are really sweet, and I mean, it seems like you're happy, and I think that's what matters. But like and again, as I said before, I have a lot of respect for Iron Liz, but I want to talk about Iron Liz, and I hope if she sees this, she's not offended. But the whole Linkara Iron Liz thing to me was a big shock as well, because of just being a fan of Lewis's stuff as a comic book fan. And all of it just kind of makes sense after a while. It was like, I remember when Iron Liz first appeared, my first reaction is that a dude? And it was like, and then I showed it to Josh, and I was like, Josh, is like Linkara's girlfriend, is that a guy? And we kind of freaked out for a minute. We were like, dude, I think that's his girlfriend, right? It's like, yeah, but that's not a girl, that's a guy. Is Linkara gay? Is Linkara, I don't know, is Linkara gay? We were kind of like this freak out. It's like, dude, that's a dude, man. It's like, we did that. And then it was like, oh, okay, I guess it's not a dude, it's Iron Liz is a chick. It's like, all right. And then like Aces started making fun of her, and it was like, oh, Iron Liz is a penis, and people started doing that. And then sure enough, yeah, years later, it's like, yeah, like I think she came out on Lord Cat's stream. It's like, yeah, Iron Liz was a dude. Iron Liz is at the time she was dating Linkara, she was a pre-op transsexual. Now she's a post-op transsexual. It's like, yeah. And it's just like, it's like, there's like a moment of revelation. It's like, oh my, and I had again, I'm a big Red Letter Media fan. So I remember like some of Rich Evans's freakouts are some of my favorite thing. Like, the SOS freakout when they on Best of the Worst, when they realized like, oh my God, this is some kind of crazy religious propaganda film. And like Rich Evans and Jack are like, oh my God, you're right. Oh my God, this is crazy. Really, I feel like I did that with like Linkara and Liz. It's like, oh, everything makes sense. Oh my God. Oh my God, Liz is a dude. Linkara's, oh my God, that's why he hates cheesecake so much. It's like, yeah, and but everything, it's like, I felt like I went Lovecraft crazy. I was like, It was like Cthulhu's coming. I was sitting there with the Necronomicon summoning Deadites, and I don't care because I wrote this book. I am Ruby. I went fucking crazy, and I went fucking batshit. And it was like, everything makes sense. Like Linkara's like constant hatred of, like hating of cheesecake. Oh, this character's showing her tits. How dare she? It's like, dude, do you have a libido at all? Do you like? Yeah, that's part of what got me into comics. Gen 13. You know what got me into Gen 13? Jim Lee drawing like Caitlin Fairchild with her awesome tits. That's what. Yeah, that's cool. That's part of like. It's a fantasy, and part of it is the sex appeal. The characters, the female characters in comics are supposed to be sexy. And guess what? So are the male dudes. Again, I bring up X-Men. Wolverine and Cyclops, especially their old cool 90s outfits, they wear skin-tight leather, and you can see every muscle, and they're hot. They're fucking sexy. You can see all of Logan's package. You can see all of it. And that's part of the appeal. That's for not just for the ladies, but that is for the guys too. For the straight guys. Because I want to be Wolverine. You should know. Because I'm playing a role-playing game where I'm basically playing Wolverine. And killing Cyclops. Because fuck Cyclops. Fuck Cyclops. I deserve Jean Grey. That's... Yeah. Women want them. Men want to be them. It goes both ways. And the same thing. You can be Wonder Woman. You can be a sexy Amazon goddess who's fucking hot and kinky and is in touch with her feminine side. That's why the whole bondage stuff is there with I keep forgetting his name because it's like 3 names. William Moulton Marston, the creator of Wonder Woman. That was part of it from the beginning, but you're also strong and badass. It's like, that's part of it. It's all fun. It's all accepting and embracing your sexuality. And Linkara had such a fucking huge problem with it. And like, you watch Mr. Medicure's review of like, he's talking about Linkara. It's, oh my god, it all makes sense. The porn, the dick girl porn. I'm a cock slut. It's like, oh my god. I think Lewis should come out of the closet. That's all I'm saying. It's just like, look, dude, we're only going to judge you if you try to hide it. If you come out and just admit to it, it's like, we'll respect you for it. It's just like don't be. I think my word on Linkara is don't be ashamed of your sexuality. My word to Lindsay is you need to calm the hell down and go back and look at some of your older videos and realize you made rape jokes all the fucking time. Anita Sarkeesian is not your friend. Come back to Earth, Lindsay. Come back to Earth and be cool again. But as for Doug and Rob, it's like, look, as for a lot of these people who are, Doug, Rob, here's what you need to do. What you do need to do is you need to, instead of just faking out with us, instead of making a Nostalgia Critic episode 4 hours after we thought you left the channel, you need to leave Channel Awesome. You need to leave Channel Awesome. You need to, separately or together, make a video apologizing, a sincere and honest apology for everything in the Google document. You both need to man up to every single thing you have done, either intentionally or through negligence. And then you need to get a lawyer, and you need to go get your character back. Because I think one thing that's been proven here, and that's evident, is that you guys, especially Mike Machad, do not understand how the legal system works. No fucking clue. You know, all the stuff you're threatening to sue people for, threatening legal action for, it's all bullshit. You cannot get away with that. You cannot, like, all the contracts and shit you had people signing up on the anniversary videos, none of those would hold up in a court of law. And by the way, Mike's too lazy to fucking get a goddamn lawyer. So Doug, Rob, you need to. You made those characters. You wrote those characters. And I think there's, and I, like Luke Skywalker, there's a theme here. There's a theme with these videos. I still believe there's good in you. I know there's good in you. You need to resist. You need to come back. You need to come back to the light side. You need to take action, get your characters back. And while you're doing that, it's going to be hard, but I'll have a tremendous amount of respect for you. You do it. You need to rebuild your channel on your own. You need to do what you were not willing to do years before, which is take agency over your creative licenses. You need to maintain a copyright of your characters. You need to maintain the business aspect of your creative process, because otherwise you can lose it. Or you could spend 10 years the slave of some massive douchebag that you can't say anything about. You need to do that. And it's going to be a long time coming. It's going to be, you've lost a lot of trust with us as fans. And it's going to take you a long time to rebuild that. It's going to take you a long time to rebuild your reputation and your channel. But you can do it. The true measure of a man is a man who can watch everything he's given his life for broken and stoop down and rebuild them with worn-out tools. Rudyard Kipling. That's what you need to do. You need to do that. And I will, you know, I don't hate you. I don't hate you guys. I do hate Mike Machad. Machad, fuck off. Mike Ellis, fuck off. But the rest of you guys, I don't hate you. I don't hate you. And I love you guys. You guys inspire me. You're still an inspiration to me. Spoonie, come back to the internet, dude. Come back to the internet and make a fucking video. Get it. Stop fucking drinking. Stop fucking abusing your Patreon. Stop fucking sponging off people. Stop being shitty to your fans. Come back to, like, in all honesty, Spoonie, real talk, sort your life out. Sort your fucking life out. Stop making excuses. Pull your life together. Get a job. And take care of yourself and shut down your Patreon. Shut down your Patreon. Do it of your own free will. Once you do that, if you feel like it, you feel comfortable about it, and you can do it without too many problems, by all means, man, we miss you. We miss you, dude. We really do. I miss your videos, man. You are the god of geeks to me, man. Even Counter Monkey. That's why I'm running the Apocalypse Stone. I didn't know what the Apocalypse Stone was until you reviewed it on Counter Monkey, until you talked about it. And I've been scouring, I've been hunting down that fucking module for 3 years now, since your last Counter Monkey, when you talked about it, trying to run it. You are a huge inspiration to me. You are the god of geeks. And I believe you're not, and look, it doesn't matter how bad things get. There's always a chance, and there's always hope that you can come back from it. It's never too late for any of you. For Noah, for Doug, for Rob. Come back. Come back. We miss you, man. We miss you, but we need you to do the right thing here. So, the only person who can change the channel is you guys. This is the Dread Pirate, signing off.